Welcome to your training mission. I'm Astro, and I'll be your guide as we put together the ultimate blueprint to help you absolutely ace your next Lightning Web Components interview.
All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down the absolute fundamentals you have to know. These are the core concepts that interviewers just love to ask about. Think of this as your high-speed track to feeling confident and ready.
Welcome to Apex Salesforce Tutorials, your one-stop channel for Salesforce learning, projects, and interview success.
So, here's the game plan for today. We're starting with the foundation. Then we'll jump into data with LDS. After that, we'll uncover the magic of decorators, explore the component lifecycle, and wrap it all up with how you actually build the UI using templates. Let's do this.
First up, we're laying the groundwork. It's so important to understand what LWC is at its core, and maybe more importantly, why it's such a massive leap forward for the entire Salesforce platform.
Okay, so here's the most crucial point, really. LWC isn't some weird, proprietary language you have to learn from the ground up. Nope, it's built directly on modern, standard web technologies. What that means for you is, if you know JavaScript, you're already halfway there. It just makes it so much faster and easier to learn.
Now, what's really fascinating is when you put LWC side by side with the older Aura framework. Just look at that performance difference. Seriously, switching from Aura to LWC is kind of like ditching an old, slow flip phone for a brand new flagship smartphone. The speed and power difference is just that dramatic.
And these advantages, they aren't just bullet points on a slide. They have a huge real-world impact. So imagine building a real-time lead scoring component for a sales team. With LWC, you could create this super lightweight UI that updates a lead score instantly as new info comes in, all without ever needing to reload the page. That's the kind of power we're talking about. So we've got the foundation down, but let's be honest, our components are pretty useless without data, right? So the next big question is, how do we get Salesforce data into our components efficiently without writing a ton of extra code?
And the answer is Lightning Data Service, or LDS. This is basically your shortcut to data. For simple record stuff, like creating, reading, updating, or deleting, you don't need to write any SOQL queries or build Apex controllers. LDS just handles all of it for you, even caching and security. It's incredibly efficient.
And this right here perfectly shows off the power of LDS. To build a component that displays a contact's details, you don't need a complex Apex class with a bunch of test methods. You can literally just use a single HTML tag, Lightning Record Form, and tell it which record and fields you want to see. That's it. Done.
Okay, next up, we're going to look at the magic that makes your components feel alive and dynamic. How do they react when data changes? Well, the answer is in 3 simple but super powerful tools called Decorators.
These 3 decorators, @API, @Track, and @Wire, are absolutely fundamental. I like to think of them as traffic controllers for your data. They direct how data flows into your component, how it changes within your component, and how it gets wired up to the Salesforce database.
So let's take @API. Think of it as creating a public input for your component. It's how a parent component can pass information down to a child. In this example, a parent page is handing an account ID to our contact list component. This makes it totally configurable and reusable for any account.
Now listen up, because this is a major pro tip for your interview. Way back in the early days of LWC, you had to use @Track for almost any private property you wanted to be reactive. But since a 2021 update, that's not really necessary anymore. Its main job now is much more specific. It's for handling changes deep inside nested objects. Knowing this little detail shows you're really up to date.
And finally, @Wire. This is how you connect a property directly to a data source, like an Apex method. But the secret ingredient here, the real magic, is that little $sign. By putting it in front of record ID, you're telling the wire service to be reactive. So anytime the account ID on the page changes, it will automatically rerun that query and fetch the new, updated data. It's awesome.
Okay, so our component has data, and it's reactive. That's great. But now, let's talk about its journey. How is it born, how does it live on the page, and how is it eventually removed? Well, all of this is managed by a series of lifecycle hooks.
These hooks are basically specific moments in time that give you precise control over your component. For example,
connected callback is perfect for fetching that initial data as soon as the component appears. And rendered callback, which runs every single time the UI updates, is ideal for stuff like automatically scrolling a chat window down to the newest message.
Now, the most crucial thing to understand about the Shadow DOM is one word: encapsulation. It basically creates a protective bubble around your component. This means the styles you write for your component won't accidentally mess up the rest of the page. And, just as important, the page's styles can't break your component.
And this comparison really shows why LWC chose Shadow DOM as the default. It's all about building components that are robust, predictable, and totally self-contained. Your custom button is always going to look like your custom button, no matter where you put it on the page.
All right, for our final section, let's look at the presentation layer. How do we take all this data we have and use it to control what the user actually sees on the screen? We do this with things called template directives. These two directives are the absolute workhorses of LWC templating. Honestly, with just if true for showing and hiding stuff, and for each for looping through lists of data, you can build pretty much any dynamic, data-driven user interface you can possibly imagine. And that officially completes our mission briefing. We've covered the foundation, data services, decorators, the component lifecycle, and templating. You now have that foundational blueprint to walk into your interview and confidently tackle any core LWC question they throw at you. Good luck.
Let me know in the comment sections what you'd like to see in the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching and liking. Keep building smarter with Apex Salesforce tutorials.